Where did the term African American come from? Believe it or not, it's older than you think. In 1782, as the Revolutionary War came to a close, an anonymous pamphlet appeared. Signed simply, by an African American, it marked the first known printed use of the term. In that moment, a voice long excluded from the nation's founding declared its presence in writing. At the time, white ministers like Yale's Timothy Dwight were preaching that America's victory at Yorktown was a sign of divine favor, but this pamphlet was different. Rather than celebrating Providence alone, its author wove Black presence into the very birth of the Republic. It was a bold claim that African descendants were not just subjects of history, but participants in the making of a new nation. We don't know the author's name, but we know their message, that identity mattered, that belonging mattered. By the early 1800s, the word African became central to Black organizing. Communities built institutions like the AME Church, embracing the word as a declaration of dignity and unity. African meant pride, solidarity, and a refusal to be erased. But almost as soon as it gained strength, the term was poisoned. The American Colonization Society and its allies promoted schemes to remove free Blacks from the United States and return them to Africa. Ships were launched, propaganda spread, and entire futures were imagined without Black Americans on American soil. What had begun as a unifying name was twisted into a justification for exile. For many, this betrayal was devastating. African no longer felt safe. What had once been a promise of belonging became a threat, a reminder that America was willing to claim Black labor but not Black citizenship. Through the 19th and 20th centuries, identity shifted again and again. Colored, Negro, Black, each term carried the weight of survival, exclusion, and resistance. None were just labels. They were strategies, forged under pressure, adapted to circumstance. By the Harlem Renaissance of the 1920s, African was reclaimed as heritage, not exile. Writers, musicians, and activists tied Black American identity to a global diaspora, proud, creative, unshakable. And by the 1960s, the civil rights movement marched under banners of Black pride and power. Then, in 1988, Reverend Jesse Jackson called for the adoption of the term African American. He argued it offered cultural integrity, connecting people to both a land of origin and a land of citizenship. The term spread quickly, making its way into newspapers, schools, and government documents. For some, it became a powerful marker of belonging and respect. For others, it felt too broad, blurring the line between descendants of slavery in America and more recent Black immigrants. And so, the debate continues. Black, African American, freedman. Identity remains both a shield and a sword, a way to demand recognition, and a way to define who exactly is owed. This history doesn't confine us. It shows why defining ourselves has always been a fight, not for vanity, but for survival. Because words matter, names matter, and in every generation, what we choose to call ourselves carries power. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more history told our way. Signing off, salute.